Hello there! Yeah, I got no blazing fire going on the screen. My internet's completely out. It's been out for a few days. Uh, I'm going to ask you a question, and it's the prequel to this video about what's going on. And I've been talking about this now since it got really bad around about 2019, about reliability in society and humanity. Of course, everything changes. Everything fluxes and refluxes. By the way, I've actually taken to making a lot of audio podcasts, even though I have some real high-end microphones. I like doing it simply with this little thing with a little micro recorder. Unfortunately, and I've been talking about this for years now too, that since you can't trust anybody anymore, and I'm going to get a dash video camera for my vehicle so that it will record everything anytime I pull out or go anywhere, is that the world and society has gotten so incredibly untrustworthy that you have to record everything. You know, police officers have a little body-worn camera now so that, some of the nutty people that they run into, they can't make crazy claims like, well, we got that on video. I'm completely against recording essentially everything, but for the sake of your own safety and trying to keep people honest, because nobody's honest anymore, it's like you have to record everything. Someone is going to make bank by coming out with a jacket that has like 4 or 5 microphones in it, and anytime you have an encounter that's going sideways, you like press a button on the sleeve and it starts recording everything, both audio and video, of the person that you're talking to. It's gotten so bad. I've actually had 6.5 hours worth of work done, including replacing all my equipment. Modem, Wi-Fi router, coax from the house to the line. I knew that wasn't it. I'm an expert on diagnostic elimination. And I told the people it's not going to fix it. Oh, we need to do it anyway. 6.5 hours between 2 technicians. And I know this is anecdotal, but I'm seeing it everywhere. The guy made so many mistakes. He drilled a hole in my wall without actually plugging it for like bugs and weather. I had to do that. I just found out today that he actually ran the coax cable running along the ground where it's underfoot. Like a 25-foot stretch of coax on the ground instead of, zip tying it overhead. I let his supervisors know about what he did. Forgetting about him, I have to ask you a question, and I've heard this from a lot of other people, and I've heard it from you people for years because I read every comment. Have you found out something I'm noticing? It's even getting worse since I started talking about it really since 2019, is that people can't communicate at all anymore. People only read what they want to read, and you could say, well, people have always done that, and they have to a certain degree, but it's gotten so bad. It is a palpable, like you can lay your hands on it, palpable anti-intellectualism. Everybody's like living in this, because everybody's afraid. And the reason why people are afraid is because they like living in ignorance. And you're never really afraid of anything, even if it's something awful, like a giant crocodile or alligator in the waters that you're wading in. If you really understand it, you don't fear it. You're wary of it and you keep your eyes out for it, but you're not afraid of it. That people are living in that bubble. Nobody wants to read anything anymore. They're totally against knowing things. It's almost like they love not to know things. By the way, I put a lot of stuff up on Substack. The link for my Substack is below. I'm going to start putting up, since people love audio files, and I know why, and I'm not calling that anti-intellectualism, but people like making their dinner or whatever, and they could hear audio so they don't have to read. They can multitask. I'm going to start putting up audio files of things that I can't talk about on other social media platforms. You'll see what. I've got like 49 posts up on Substack. But this really is, this particular section, this intro to this video about what's going on. I mean this in all seriousness, not jest, that we're like at DEFCON level 1 of ignorance and absolute padded room level of jabberwocky nuttiness in this world where people are losing their cool. And I know everybody's like, they're afraid and they're broke and they can't make ends meet. And I'm not living in fear, but I mean, I have to rush around. I have to be so, so careful of not letting anybody take any of my time. Not because I'm trying to be selfish with my time, not that I don't want to help other people. It's not that at all. It's that I can't make ends meet unless I am, working 7 days a week. And when I'm not doing that, I'm trying to regain my energy to get back to working. And I don't know what level you're at. It has to be even worse for you. I don't know how it could be worse for you. Like, say you have a wife and kids and a mortgage and a house payment and a car payment. I don't have those things, and yet I'm still at that level. So I'm actually calling, and this is serious. You say, well, I don't have that problem. Well, maybe some of you don't, but I'm seeing it and hearing it everywhere, and it's getting worse. I don't know if Cheeto Jesus, and I'm not saying that to go after him. I heard that in live stream, and I just think it's so funny. I got a really good sense of humor. I call him Cheeto Jesus. We got 5 days left until Cheeto Jesus. I hope Cheeto Jesus. Sorry, it's so funny. Cheeto Jesus fixes a lot of that. But we'll see about that. I mean, there's a established 4-year track record. I don't care about politics. I just want things fixed. Seeing a lot of stuff in the UK. And the one thing, and I'm part British myself, so I can say this kind of stuff. I see this out of the people of the UK is that they don't establish a backbone. One guy is filming this guy reaching through this window where he broke it, and he's like grabbing, he's swiping expensive stuff and sticking it in his bag, and there's like a bunch of Brits around him. And they're like, oh, you shouldn't be doing that. Oh, that's terrible. If that happened in like New York or Chicago, or especially in the South, I mean, it would be a totally different story. I mean, you wouldn't see Americans standing around a guy with an arm's length distance while he's got a hole in the window that he broke out and he's like swiping things. He's reaching in and swiping things. You wouldn't see that happen here. Every culture is different, but I find that so, so incredibly off-putting and peculiar, and it makes my stomach churn because I love the British people and I've always wanted to go there. I know there's some kinfolk that I have that I could actually meet in jolly old England, but I can't afford to go there, obviously. I can't. One woman is yelling out the window of her house to a government guy in the UK, and he wants to deliver her a bill for watching government. He says, "Ma'am, you're watching government property." She's watching. She's getting the BBC apparently, and Americans find this extremely strange and very, very off-putting and odd that if you're watching, in addition to having a TV and paying for cable, that the government will send you a bill for watching their propaganda. And the woman keeps yelling out the window to the limey guy, the grotty knob in her yard is like, "I've got a bill for you, ma'am." She says, "I only watch Netflix and Amazon. I don't watch BBC." And he keeps insisting that he's got to give her. I'm sorry. I had to talk about that. It's just, every time I see stuff like that, it's like, now I know why 1776 happened. I mean, I guess UK has always been like that to a certain degree. It's just like an acceptance. It's like it's your fate, an inescapable fate. You must bend the knee to the crown. And see, Americans find that extremely off-putting and odd. And I'm not going after the British people. Here's something that's absolutely atrocious and it's happening. It's called C40. And it's actually the technical jargon for it, or lexicon, is 15-minute cities. This is WEF created. What's going to happen in the near future is that you can't drive a gas car. If you want food, you're going to have a calorie-controlled list of what you can and can't buy. Otherwise, they'll freeze your bank account. The WEF is signed up with the Mayor of London over this, and he's not the only one. I'd like to hear from the British people. And they say that's going to spread here. I can't see that happening. I mean, it's going to be a cold day in in the warm place. It's going to be a cold day in the warm place below before that is allowed to happen here. I mean, they could try to impose it in some of the bigger cities, but I don't know how they're going to even attempt to manipulate to do that here. There's too many farmers and too many people that have the ability to repel borders. I'm going to use the word repel borders, wink wink, to allow something like that to happen. Not to get into the technicalities of what's happening out in California right now. And I lived in California in East Bay, Emeryville, which is just east of San Francisco with my wife. I was only living there for a year and a half. California is extremely beautiful and extremely plentiful. But the guy I'm going to call Gruesome Newsom, he said that he's talking about LA 2.0, and he's talking about reimagining LA, and he keeps mentioning Marshall Plan. I don't know if you know what a Marshall Plan is, but you should really go look up what a Marshall Plan is. He also said in another video that's everywhere now, he says his legal team is moving to bring these things forward, and the things he's talking about bringing forward are land use concerns. He's talking about speculators buying up properties, and he says we're already working with people, we're talking about buying up property. We could guess who's buying up the properties. I humorously refer to them as Darkstone, but you could take your pick of what you want to call them. I'm not going to actually say their name. See, he says his legal teams are moving forward on these things. I remember this happening somewhere else where land speculators are trying to buy up stuff. It was somewhere in a state of the United States that was out in the Pacific Ocean. When did this happen? It's not funny at all. Here's something else people live in California has talked about. It takes, like Jillian Michaels was talking about, it took her a year to get permission to clean up her yard, I think. They'll keep procrastinating you until you, even if you're super rich, like I'm gonna give up. Even if you're rich, you just give up. Like, I'll just move another state. To put you off, you have to get a permit to rebuild. They have to, actually, the insurance adjuster has to come out, and they have to determine a bunch of things, and on and on and on. And then once you start re-permitting to rebuild, that takes a super, super long time. And California is the worst state in the union for that. And if you procrastinate people long enough where they financially starve to death, or even if you're rich, like, I'm not going to put up with this, I'm going to build a house in Utah or something. You just give up. So a lot of this is being talked about, and it's all extremely accurate. And this all appears to be a land grab. You really can't make hardly any other conclusions on it, that it is nothing other than a land grab. I really hope Cheeto Jesus in 5 days fixes things. I don't care about politics, but I care about people getting stuff done, and there's a 4-year track record of that happening. You can disagree with me all you want, but I was here for the 4-year track record when things got done. In the past 4 years, things have not only not gotten done, good, everything bad did get done. I hope we don't have a false lag between now and the 21st of January. I don't like making speculative conjectures about that. It doesn't behoove me or you to do that, but I've always got my head on a swivel and my eyes open. And in that line of reasoning, the National Security Advisor, Jake Sullivan, this skinny little guy, asked if he'd be coming back to speak to the White House press corps, between now and inauguration. He said, this is on video, by the way, he said, the only thing that would bring me back is an unexpected event in the next few days, 5 days, all of which is totally possible given everything that you've seen over the course of the past few years. Like he was always dropping a hint that something is going to happen between now and Cheeto Jesus getting in 5, 6 days, depending where you want to look at it, 5 or 6 days from now. Speaking on California, and this is incredible, having lived out there and seen some beautiful stuff out there, is that, say there's a state that's not doing very well and never has, and I can name a few, but I don't want to name them. Yeah, they might be east of Louisiana. It's like, well, that state failed. The government of XYZ state has failed. They never really had anything to begin with. Nobody wanted to live there or move there. They don't really have any natural resources. There's no good farming there. California has absolutely everything going for it. It's got the food, it's got the agriculture, it's got the minerals, it's got the beautiful scenery. You know, if it wasn't so radically expensive, people would love, tourists and whatnot, would love to both live there and flock there. The point is that there's no other state, I don't really hear anybody talking about this, I'm sure there have been, there's no other state that's harder to wreck because it's got everything going for it. The food, the fruits, the nuts, the agriculture, the minerals, the land, the beauty. It's got everything going for it. It's the hardest state out of 50 to ruin. And who's ruining it? It's the hardest state to ruin. That's not my opinion. That's a fact. Who's ruining it? Well, the moonbats are ruining it. I don't know if you're familiar with that term, moonbats, but it means somebody that sniffs their own exhaust and they're completely out of touch with reality. Instead of doing what is right and proper and natural order, they do everything upside down, backwards. They ruin and wreck everything they touch. You've heard of the Midas touch where everything turns to gold? Well, it's the opposite of that. And the people that live there are the ones that they think that this is the right people, the moonbats. Yeah, these are the people that should be taking care of California and myself and my taxes and, you know, my garbage and my landfill and, you know, the LAPD and the LAFD, over the whole state, not just LA. My question is, after everything that's happened recently, do you think the people are wise enough? I said wise, not intelligent. Are wise enough? Because many of them are intelligent. And those are always the worst people. Anytime you hear something really, 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 really horrible happened, it's always somebody who's very intelligent, but foolish, no wisdom. Always. Like, just imagine the most, you know, unsettling thing you've ever heard happen. And the person that did it, oh yeah, I went to school with him. He was, everybody said he was so smart. These people are smart, they just don't have any wisdom. There's nothing there. By the way, and I know this is fear, I don't buy into the fear, but fear gets bought in by people that are uninformed and unintelligent, and worse if both, is that they're talking about the bird coof spreading, you know, in the Far East, and I just don't know if there's enough percentage of fearful people that are willing to, you know, let their lives get thrown further down a dark well by believing in that. I'd like to hear your conclusions on that, actually. They've done a bunch of surveys in Greenland, because it is strategic as far as our defense against Russia. But it has a lot of minerals, too, that a lot of Greenlanders are apparently very interested and supportive of the United States purchasing Greenland. I'd love to hear from you guys about that. Yeah, Iceland is green and Greenland is ice. There's really nothing in Greenland other than its strategic location and its mineral resources. Greenland, it's got nothing else going for it. I hate to say that, but it's true. I mean, it has a really rustic beauty if you love like blasting cold and sort of Arctic, Nordic, you know, rustic beauty. It's like, okay, it's got that. I still would never want to take a vacation there. If it were free, I would go there. You'd be like, yeah, 24 hours later, I've seen enough of this, let's go home. I don't know how to say this lightly. The largest study of its kind just came out a couple days ago, and it involved 99 million participants. I don't know why it wasn't 100, but it's 99 million. It's the largest, I'm going to call it the Coof juice study. And then the stabby juice, I call it the Coof juice. The Coof juice study. The conclusions after examining 99 million people. Now, this is a formal professional study. Said that, concluded, there's a long laundry list of horrible things. They're very, very dangerous. One of them is 610% increase in this issue. Like, ugh! You feel me? I'm not going to say the words, but like, ugh! Remember Fred Sanford? He's always going to have the big one. 610% increase. Largest study of its kind. 99 million people. Should have done another million. They could have said 100 million. What's your conclusions on what's going to happen in 5 to 6 days when Cheeto Jesus gets sworn in? I'm not talking about after the fact. But what he does, since he's talking about slicing off a significant portion of government and government waste, which is like 80% of government is waste and nonsense. One paper pusher pushes it over here, another paper pusher pushes it over there. That's every government, especially the United States government. The fact that he's talking about ending that and the bottomless purse string that is currently feeding the overinflated oinker that I would refer to as the MIC, military industrial complex, him ending that, these people won't allow that to happen. I mean, there are only 5 days. Of course, you only need one. I don't know if he was hinting at anything when UN National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan said that, something could happen in the next few days, he said. It's totally possible, he said, given what you've seen over the past few years. I don't know if he's hinting at something like that or not. Anyway, this appears to be a land grab. The guy with all the hair gel in his hair, he said that he's got a Marshall Plan and he's going to reimagine the area. And he talked about LA 2.0. Wink, wink. LA 2.0. You've been thinking about LA 2.0 and a Marshall Plan for some time. That means that logically you are anticipating this event to happen. And this event is needed to occur for the reimagining to happen. It's still ongoing. So if he knows about a Marshall Plan and reimagining the area and LA 2.0, then that means he had pre-knowledge of what has just happened and is still happening. And he'd been thinking about it over here in the significant past. And he knew this was going to happen. And that's the purpose behind his intellectual machinations on reimagining the area. Speculators buying up properties, he said. And have a legal team move forward with these things. I'd love to hear your thoughts on that one. By the way, while he was saying this on reimagining, his body literally, he smiled as big a smile as you can imagine, like, and then he rocked back and forth like this. Very, very creepy. I'd love to hear from the British people. Has it always been that bad? It seems that it is. The things that I keep seeing, the tyranny out of England. I love the British people, and I'm part British. I'll never get a chance to visit there because it is way too expensive, but is this bowing to the crown and kissing the hand of the crown? I mean, is all of the UK that way? Standing around very close to a guy that's, pilfering a store through a broken window. Is that, oh, that's terrible of you? Nobody lifting a finger to do anything? Is that standard operating procedure there? I'm not being critical, even though you think I am. Anyway, there's a lot of information on my Substack. I continue to upload a lot. I'm going to be uploading stuff there now that I can't upload anywhere else. Interesting educational stuff that, I'm not interested in talking about it if I don't have an extremely firm grip on it. I'm not going to start pontificating about car repair. It's like, you don't know anything about car repair? It's like, you're right, I don't. That's why I'm never going to write articles or post audio about same. Thank you so much for watching. And send me an email if you got any questions. I don't have any internet still. It's been 72 hours without internet while they try to figure out the line issues. So And I won't be able to get to live stream tonight, but don't blame me. I'm doing everything I can to get it restored as soon as possible. I even upgraded to a 1 gigabit Ethernet plan. That's 1,000 megabit per second up and 1,000 down. Realistically, it'd be like 500 to 800 megabit per second up and like 900 down, but way faster than I had before. Thank you so much.